And what we have to pretend is that Yvonne is a manager, and Noreen and Orla are going to come in and ask her questions using the public service review. And Myrna, do you want to be the support worker? Myrna is going to be the support worker. And Myrna is just supporting Orla and Noreen to ask the questions. And can you all open the book that you have?
This one here.
See this book here?
Page
They're going to be asking the questions, and I'm just going to knock on the door to pretend that they're just coming in to see the manager. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And then I'll leave them off.
Come in.
Hi, my name is Orla. This is
I'm
Noreen. And this is support
my
worker.
name is Orla and I'm the support worker. Pardon.
Nice to meet you all. My name is Yvonne. I'm the manager here inside in Balsera in Dublin. How can I help you? Just to say it at the outset, from the very beginning, I have about 8 to 9 minutes today, so I don't have a lot of time. But I'm sure we can get through this very, very quickly.
Yeah, now can listen to them now and not ask the questions.
Far away.
Have you trained your staff to talk to people in plain English?
Well, I mainly deal with bus drivers in Balsera, and to be honest, they don't really need to talk too much to the public. They can obviously all speak English, so yes, I would say they can speak English.
But what about if they want English, if they were Polish, or if they were if they
Well, they
want
can't speak
Irish?
Polish, I can tell you that much. The bus drivers can't speak Polish, but they can speak a bit of English.
What about the customers?
Yeah, I think they get across to customers, no problem. Yeah. Just maybe to ask, what is plain English? Is it the same as English?
Like I'm talking to you now.
Okay. Yeah, I would say most of the drivers would be able to explain something in plain English.
All right.
But we don't provide training on it.
What if there was someone that was deaf, or if they were blind? How would they communicate if they didn't speak English?
I don't know. I think, to be honest, they'd have to call ahead and say that they're getting a bus, and then we'd have to try and resolve it.
And what if they couldn't talk?
Well, then I'm not sure how we'd communicate, but we just don't have those kind of additional services in Balsera right now.
Did you ever put any training into it?
No, we don't.
It's something you should think about in the future.
It's something to think about in the future, yeah. If we have the money, definitely.
Is the information about your service written in easy to read?
Again, it's the first time I've ever heard of Easy to Read. I'm not familiar with it. Is it, I don't know, can you explain what it is exactly? Because I know that we provide our timetables in a very straightforward, clear way, and I think that's all people really need.
Maybe you could give some training to your staff and make it easier for people to read, like timetables and bigger writing.
Yeah, again, I think it's a lot of effort for a very small group of people. That's what it sounds like to me here.
Oh,
Yeah.
you should.
Well, there's a lot of people with disabilities. Although there's not a small lot, but there's a big nation of people with disabilities. There's not 4 or 5.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we do get people with disabilities using our services, and from what I can see, they get on and off. They use their free travel pass. It all goes pretty well.
Well, do they ask you for help?
Not really, I would say.
But then if there's a person in a wheelchair and there's no way of getting onto the bus,
I mean, we do support. Again, if they give us 48 hours notice, we've no problem facilitating people then and
And
helping
what
people.
about if they can't use a computer? Or if they have difficulties using a phone?
Well, I mean, again, it's up to them, I guess, to organise it. But once we have 48 hours notice, we're happy to do anything.
Did any of your staff get training on how to make information easy to read?
No, definitely not. Never heard of Easy to Read before, so I definitely can't say that I've given training or that we've even thought about training.
Right, I think you're in the wrong business. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I mean, again, it's not something that we have a budget for and we have money for right now, and maybe into the future when times are good again, we'll be able to do it.
is your feedback and complaints policy easy to read and easy to use?
I think so. I mean, it's there, it's on our website, and it's clearly explained in very, legal language, so people know their rights. So yeah, for me, it's clear and straightforward.
Well, it might be okay for you. What about a person with disabilities?
Yeah.
How could it be clear for them?
I mean, generally they'd have somebody to help them, wouldn't they?
Sometimes they might
No.
Okay.
It's an easy read policy, is it?
Again, like, I don't think that many people with disabilities ever complain, you know?
Did you ever listen to them?
Well, no, I can't say I have.
So you don't know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know because I think there aren't any problems. I think we operate a pretty good service in Bosserin. I don't think we get many complaints overall. I think most people would say it's a very good service.
Have you complaint box?
We do have complaints
Did you ever
box.
read
Not
them?
done that.
Take them out, take the time,
There are some complaints, but we always work to improve our service.
but you're improving things for people that haven't got disability.
What about people with disability?
Again, I think it's just quite a small percentage. So, you know, again, like I said, when we have money and when times are good, it's something that we'll look at.
Do you check your complaints to see if people with disabilities find it hard to use your service?
I can't say I do. No, we generally look at complaints and we try and make sure that we answer those complaints as quickly as possible. You know, within 6 months or so, and that's it really. You know, we don't look at specifically people with disabilities. Just to say now, guys, I have another 5 minutes of my time, and then you know I have to go to another
Yeah,
meeting of managers.
patient.
Look at the girls in your class then.
Okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Do you have public toilets that are easy to use for people with disabilities?
I would say that half of our bus stations don't need a public toilet because they're so small and they're rural and there's not that many people going through them. Obviously in the bigger cities and towns like Dublin, we have toilets, full stop. Are they accessible?
No.
I mean,
Not in over in Bosserin over there, don't I?
No.
it's again, unfortunately it's an old building. We have to work with what we have.
Maybe,
We don't have a budget to change the toilets at the
Maybe look
moment.
into it. 'Cause
Maybe look into it again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's something. I mean, look, all these things are ideal. These are all things that we'd love to have. But being realistic as a manager, yet again in Bosserin, you know, I have a limited budget. We're not doing so great. But
You should still have toilets
You
on the
should,
level
yes,
for a
toilets.
person in a wheelchair.
I consider something to think about for the future. Definitely, yeah,
Yeah, you should.
that's something to think about. Yeah, agreed.
Do your staff know that people have a right to be treated with respect?
I would say yes. Yeah, they do indeed. Yeah, I think that most of my bus drivers that work here in Bosserin would always talk nicely to people and welcome them as they're getting onto buses and so on. I
Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty confident.
I'm sorry, I don't think so. There's something
Either way.
rude.
Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, look, people have individual experiences, but I think overall our bus drivers and our staff are, you know, decent people.
You're just telling us what we want to hear, but I think you're completely all wrong.
Yeah.
You want to kind of do checks on your staff and all that,
All staff.
and all the staff, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, I can only tell you what my experience of my staff is, and again, they seem very friendly. I don't get a huge amount of complaints that I'm aware of from people, so I can say they treat people in a friendly way.
No, I disagree with you there, but
We'll agree to disagree then.
Have you checked your service this year to see how easy it is for people with disabilities to use it?
No, I mean, I think there's a talk of setting up some kind of a steering group or a committee, and that committee is going to look at any issues that anybody has, you know, whether it's people with disabilities or older people, and I think that's going to be something good. We've got a bit of money for that, so, you know, that'll be very useful.
If you have money for that, I've not got money to build a toilet for a person in a wheelchair,
You know, it's all about priorities, unfortunately.
and the toilet is priority.
yeah, it is, and it's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
about the
it's
money,
people,
really. It's about the people.
Yeah, I mean, it's about the people, but as a manager, it's about the money. I have to look at budgets. I have to see how much the expenses are, the staff wages are. I have to see if we're making a profit. You know, it's a public service, but it still needs to generate. It still needs to get
Yes,
some
but
money.
it's for the people as well.
Needs a
And
toilet
they need
for
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're serving people through providing a bus service. So I think Bosserin is doing a very good job in Ireland. I would say.
No, they could
No.
make,
No,
They think
Not in that, no,
No.
no, they focus off,
No,
don't give us interview, no, no, no.
No? Okay. Well, again, there's this committee that's going to be set up, and it'll look at problems of different people all across the country in using our service.
Do you have a list of changes that needs to be made to your service?
No list. To be honest, I don't think we have time to be writing lists. We're
Oh,
more
God.
at we do actions, responding, providing a service.
Maybe
You should
we
do
should have a
24
list.
hours.
You should do the list and bring it every day
Yes.
in a folder.
Because we
Okay.
know the changes.
And then the changes happen over a year, 6 months ago, whatever, you want to throw.
Again, I don't think we have the time right now to implement that or to think about that, but maybe when the committee is set up, it's something they can look at.
You should cut down your tea breaks and your dinner breaks. That's where the problem is.
Very good.
I must say, as a manager, I have very limited breaks whatsoever, and our staff are working to a very, very tight schedule. They have a tight timetable to provide bus services too. So like we can only do our best. You know, we're all just human here.
Yes, girl.
Right, but when we do with the steering committee count like that, I hope you're not on it, because you about people with disabilities.
Well, on the committee, I believe we have some managers from each of the different regions and 1 or 2 customers, and hopefully that'll do the job.
About people with disabilities, will they
Yeah, if anybody.
No, there isn't. No.
So
Just-
there should be.
yeah.
There should be.
That's discrimination.
That's discrimination.
Well, I mean, I don't see why we should have to open it up to everybody.
You do.
Then do we have to have somebody from a migrant background? Do we have to have a traveller? Do we have to have an older woman? Like, where does it stop, you know?
Well, you need someone in a wheelchair to come in and say,
Yeah.
look, we need space and everything like that.
No,
You can't do because you're not in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So how can you talk?
I think the committee would probably think about those things.
But you have to have some.
We have to have somebody above.
Someone with
Yeah.
disability that understands what they need.
Okay, well that's, again, maybe that's something that we need to look at and think about. So you've given me food for thought, it's a new idea, and maybe we'll look at getting a person with a disability on the committee.
Yeah.
No promises, but it's the first time that that's been said.
Right, okay.
Okay, thank you.